years in 2012, and in over 250 years, every single mayor has been a white man. And as a city who has over 50% people of color, over 42% of those who speak Spanish, I think that the city would be best represented by a person of color. And there are a lot of qualified candidates of color that have come before you in the last few days. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You just got to give him.
Hi, my name is Shauna Nipper. I'm the Executive Director of Women's March here in Pennsylvania, and I'm a resident of Allentown. And I want to say first that you misspoke, Julio. There was another Latinx candidate. That would be Cheryl Johnson Watts. So I just want to, okay, just want to make sure that you are aware. Secondly, there seems to be an issue in our entire country, along with Allentown, where we allow people of excellence, who are people of color, to be usurped by mediocre white men. And so I would really like to see the council take into account the majority of our city and really be representative of that. But not only that, look at the levels of education and qualifications, and not just who we've seen run for office. And I do want to second that I don't think any type of former incarceration should prohibit anybody from serving their community in any of our positions or in any of our jobs. So I'd also like to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
I'll let him go.
Daniel Porsky, Allentown, lifelong resident. I'm here to speak on behalf of Hassan Batts. I have been working with him. I've known him now for a few years, and I work with him on a number of projects. And I can tell you, this is a man who can get a lot done in less time than most people. He is extremely efficient, pays close attention, he is very collaborative, but more than that, he really has his heart in this, and it's amazing how many balls he can keep up in the air, and he have his eye on all of them and do a phenomenal job. And I just hope that you can consider that. Plus, I also subscribe to the reasons that were given to you in the past, a few people that have spoken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening. Blue Shoe 625 North 6th Street. Personally, I would suggest O'Connell, but there's a lot of good other candidates out there as well. Thiel, other people have made very impassioned pleas, and I don't envy your job, because the person you pick tonight is going to be leading Allentown for better or worse for the next couple of years. Keep that thought in mind as you deliberate that in your own thought. But I also want to give a shout out to everybody else who did apply here tonight, especially those people with all this passion for the city. Don't go away. Stick around when you're done, because we need everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
We heard that.
Wow.
Hi, my name is Sharon Shannon. I've been here in Allentown for 50 years. I just like to say Allentown is a good town. It has came a long way, but we really need to do something with Allentown. It has changed totally differently, and I just like to say, whoever you pick, I just hope they do the best that they can, because it has changed. I have seen it changed. I just want to say, please pick, when you get together, please just think totally, very hardly, and let's just try to do the best that we can. I mean, it's a hard thinking problem that you really need to think about. Because me and the young lady were speaking, to really sit and think about, on the corner of 6th and Linden, to have a building to live at for $1,600. If you were raised here, you wouldn't live there. And I just have to say that. Please think real hard when you pick. God bless you when you think about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You heard from each side of Allentown. I believe before you heard people that are really interested in being our mayor, and they have to be thanked for their efforts. But I think there's some people that stood out. Mr. Ned Hyman stood out, and so did Ray O'Connell. And I think these two people should be a serious consideration. Mr. Hyman came to you guys and presented many fundamental reasons why he should be a mayor. But Mr. O'Connell, who served as your president of City Council with 5 of the members here, does not need on-the-job training. As you heard all the speakers, City of Allentown has problems. We have many problems. I think there were a lot of problems that were not even mentioned. And I think you hire Ray O'Connell, he doesn't need on-the-job training. Day one, when he walks in that door, he can do the job. And that's the kind of person we need to the City of Allentown right now. Mr. Hyman was a good candidate, and he made such a great proposals for being mayor. And if I was on City Council, right now with you guys, we'll be in touch between Mr. Hyman and O'Connell. But right now, I think Mr. O'Connell, what I heard tonight about all the problems we have in the City of Allentown, Mr. O'Connell can address those problems on day one. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, members of council, Edward J. White, 1922, West Highland Street, Allentown. I'm here tonight as a citizen, a resident, taxpayer, and a voter of the city, and I'm here to thank all of you for your public service. Allentown has had a rough few years, and I think by your actions this evening in allowing Dr. Batts to make his case before you to be heard was an important first step in healing the city. So I commend all of you for entertaining the motion, seconding the motion, voting on the motion, no matter what your vote is. You as a body and individually, you all are to be commended. I'm proud to say that I live in the city of Allentown, and I'm proud of Allentown City Council tonight, because I think you've taken an important step by being inclusive, open, respectful of the voices of the city of Allentown. And I'm going to state something that you probably already know and is obvious to those in the room, and that's that this is a city of over 120,000 people, primarily registered Democrats, but also others who are Republicans, Independents, Libertarians, Green Party members. Time for politics is over. Time is to pick the best person. You represent the city. Vote wisely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Chris Woods. I live on Walnut Street in Allentown. I'm also a member of the Allentown Coalition for Economic Dignity, which affects for equitable development in the city. I want to comment on the questions that were presented at these meetings, or rather the lack thereof. Councilperson Greedy and Robinson sort of hinted at this, but I don't think any time over the course of tonight or the previous 2 meetings we explicitly asked about affordable housing. I know that some candidates brought it up on their own accord, and I commend them for that. I want to point out that WFNZ has reported on a study published by Redfin that shows that rents in the city of Allentown have gone up 22% in recent years, making Allentown the most unaffordable housing market in the country as a percentage of the average resident's income. More unaffordable than New York and San Francisco. It's a massive crisis facing the city, and I'm concerned that that was not explicitly asked at any time. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Samantha Jadine. I'm a resident of the city of Allentown. Mr. President, I think you do a great job with keeping order here in this space. Yes, no problem. I heard a lot of candidates speak, and I know you guys have a huge decision to make tonight. One thing that I do want to express is that I heard 2 key components tonight alone. I heard a lot of people talking about how Allentown was built and not enough of the future of Allentown. And I also heard the term visionary being thrown around, or having a vision. I think whoever you choose next needs to be a visionary and who can see the bigger picture and effectively communicate the plans of the city and make it happen. So whoever you choose, whoever that is, please make sure we have these 2 things in mind. And I'm definitely here supporting Dr. Batts. I work with him personally on a personal basis for a number of months now, and I can honestly say with conviction that he is a man who is a visionary and is a true leader to not only the community, but to Allentown as a city. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Becky Kiss, Allentown, Pennsylvania. I bought my home here a 1.5 years ago. I've always lived in Bethlehem, but I've grown up coming to Allentown, Hess's, the patio. I drank at Perry's and at Cannon's. I ate my first sushi at Rabada, and I love this city so much that I applied for the Perks Board 3 months ago, and I currently serve on that. I try to keep my money in downtown Allentown and within the city as much as possible. I think that Bethlehem and Easton have had their time, and this is Allentown's time. It's time for us to come back. I want young, fresh ideas in this city. I want a no-drama mayor that nobody can question and that doesn't have any drama surrounding their campaign or what may have happened with the campaign or who they may have helped with the campaign. I think that trust is earned, and I think that you cannot earn trust by telling someone to simply get over it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
James Whitney, Allentown. I did a bit of research online last night, and it turns out the legal opinion brought by O'Connell regarding his eligibility to be the interim mayor was that of a law firm that contributed $1,000 to his mayoral campaign and then spent $7,600 non-tax deductible dollars running ads for O'Connell's write-in campaign. A write-in campaign that I believe was designed and crafted to ensure the victory of a corrupt Mayor Pawlowski and only represented a single phase of a complex scheme to bypass the democratic process and seize power through appointment rather than through a fair election. When Pawlowski won that election, stood trial, and was convicted of 47 felonies while in office, Allentown was humiliated for O'Connell's glory. Appoint whoever you want as mayor. Nothing I say or anyone else says is going to cause you to abandon the plans you've obviously made and are carrying out in the open. But as time goes on and you hold regular city council meetings and you see these seats empty as they usually are, don't you dare wonder why. Don't dare say that it's because people don't care. When you no longer see me here, don't think that for a moment that it's because I don't care, or that I've lost my interest, or because I lost my passion for this city. When you don't see me, know that it's because I lost faith. And from now on, I hope every empty chair you see in these chambers will represent a citizen who's lost faith in this political system, or that it will ever prioritize the well-being of its citizens over its own nepotistic schemes. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, young man.
I'm Laura Irish, a resident of Allentown, and I'm here to support Charlie Field. He did a great job of giving you all of his qualifications, which I won't repeat, but I think the most important is that he has no baggage of IOUs and private deals to fulfill. He represents change from the past and a new generation of politics with collaboration and transparency. Push aside your personal vendettas, private deals, and grudges. Let go of the negativity in the past administration. Build on our city's positives. Be transparent in your choices. You have the opportunity to appoint a man with the ideas, experience, integrity, energy, and skills to lead our city toward greatness. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Black Hawk River College. My name is Robin Ronnie Casey. I'm here as a citizen of Allentown. I am not going to disparage any of the candidates that came before Hassan Batts. I'm here because I think it's a new day. I think you've seen all around the nation that the young people are saying politics as usual won't work anymore. We have to pay attention to the people, and the people really aren't us anymore. Young people are saying we need to heal, and that's what you heard from Hassan Batts. And Allentown, if in no other place, we know that's true here. Our democracy has failed us in so many ways. We can't trust our people that's supposed to be representing us. Hassan has offered us the opportunity to come together as a people, to say that Allentown is great, can be great, we are great. We need our young people to trust us and to be a part of the solution. I'm asking for you guys to take a chance on someone who is willing to step up and be a part of that change. It won't be the same as it has been, but if you don't take that chance, it will be. It's not just Ferris Field, it's not just Ferris Heitman, it's not just Ferris O'Connell, who I know as well. It's been a part of the council when I sat on the Human Relations Commission. Moda, you know me, Gertie, you know me, Hendricks, you know me. I'm just saying that it's a new day. Either embrace it or die. And honestly, I'm about the future, and we gotta be about it too.
Thank you very much. And you don't have to hype me over. We're proud of it. Sir.
Hello, my name is Billy Mack. I'm a resident North 4th Street business owner. I just want to say that I was really impressed back when Allentown passed the Ban the Box initiative, and for it to be of any question if someone's criminal record disqualifies them, I think shows that that has not gone far enough. And if there's any question of it, we need to eliminate that. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Jay. I'm proud to be working and serving the community at neighborhood health centers on 2nd Street in Allentown. I just wanted to say that today you guys have a very important decision to make. And as Samantha said before me, we need someone who is a visionary, you know, currently working with the people and the community members of Allentown. I could see Hassan being someone who will serve the city and will bring a lot of light. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Aziz Wabi. I'm the president of the Syrian American Hawaiian Charity Society. We're looking for your wisdom in choosing the new mayor of Allentown based on honesty and experience. And honesty is what is needed right now, and we're looking forward for that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Council. My name is Kevin Green, resident of Eastside, Allentown. I'm an entrepreneur, father. I don't know if I want to say community activist, but a person that's been very devoted to the community since I've been in Allentown for 13 years. A person like me, a person that looks like me from my age to my color, Allentown, the Lehigh Valley has not given me, my team, and the people that I've worked with the opportunity to really grow here. I've lost faith in Allentown for some time, and have decided to really go in and look elsewhere. People like Hassan Batts and what he's done to really go ahead and energize me to see that Allentown has an opportunity to make a real change, a real commitment. It's more than the fact that he's a man of color, because he's actually has the skill sets and the understanding of how to develop a community together so we can work together. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's about the young people, the people that have been here for 50, 60 years. It's about council, it's about everyone working in the city coming together, but also really feeling that we're committed to the actual change and empowering everyone so they can be a part of this, because you guys are not going to be able to do it by yourself. We're going to have to do it together. And if we continue to feel marginalized, we'll continue to leave our city and not be a part of making Allentown as great as it should be. Not as what we want it to be, as it should be, and we need to do it together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Don Ringer. I'm from Allentown. As you know, I was a Nat Hyman supporter, and I don't think he's going to get the job. In lieu of that, I would like to have you consider Mr. O'Connell. I think he's a very, very honest person, a very sincere person, and a person who can heal this community. And I think that's what we need more than anything, is healing with the community. And I'm hoping that Mr. O'Connell and Mr. Hyman at some point maybe can work together a little bit, because Nat has a tremendous vision for this city. He's the only one that stood up here and had a vision of what the city should do to get money into this city without raising taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ted Evans, right here, 243 North St. Cloud, representing Downtown Tennis Association. One thing in consideration when you're thinking about who to vote for, I'm not going to say who to go, but take in consideration that only a couple candidates actually mentioned the major issue of blight and housing, unless they were prompted by Mr. Robinson asking for the question. Many of them never said anything about affordable housing or blight at all. The reality is, blight is the #1 issue this city has. It's the umbrella issue. It's the one that causes everything else that happens here. So I'd like to take into consideration that only the candidates really that mentioned about this, but most of them have been prompted by it, and some seem to still think it wasn't much of anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rodney Bush. I live on the west side of Allentown. I went to Muhlenberg Elementary. I went to Trexler Middle School, and I'm a graduate of Allen High School. Currently, I'm a student at Muhlenberg College, so that goes to say that I am a true Allentonian. And I unfortunately had some troubles growing up, right? So I grew up in a system, in the school district, in the city, that despite my intelligence and my AP grading and my AP classes, I grew up in a city that failed me. Through that trauma, I've grown up and I've had other issues associated with that. And if we continue this narrative that you allow one candidate that goes completely against the charter to have an interview opportunity, but you force a struggle for another candidate, that goes completely against the city charter and paints a narrative that just continually perpetuates the situations that I grew up in. And I can tell you firsthand experience that I have been around Hassan Batts for several years, and through his mentoring, his love and his compassion, he's brought me and he's raised me to a place that I am here today and have the courage to stand before you. So my vote and my support is behind Hassan Batts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I'm Oliver Riley. I reside on North 9th Street. I just want to say that given what's happened in the recent months, we all know that the city of Allentown has a problem with trust. And it's been said before that authenticity is the currency of trust. So to me, the person who you choose for this job needs to be somebody who is authentic and understands the issues of the city if we want to regain that trust. And so I'm here tonight to support Dr. Batts. I've worked with him for several months. I've known him longer than that, but he is extremely qualified, and I think he would do a great job in regaining some of the trust of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else? Give people that chance if they want to be heard, but I'm not seeing anybody walk up. Sure. We'll go to council. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Anthony Toth, Allentown, PA. The next mayor is going to have to do his task, but one thing I would like to say is that whoever it is that may be chosen has to have a good team with him, and that team has to be council up here. There's been too much divisiveness between the mayor and council, too much 7-on-1. To perpetuate effective change, we need to work together. The next mayor is going to have a short term. It's hard to enact change in such a short term with divisiveness. And I think a lot of where we can go has to do with the 7 of you up here. So whoever you can pick, please work effectively with our next mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I guess I'll give council members a chance to voice if we did it in reverse order, but if somebody wants to say anything before we start the voting process, council members, please raise your hands or go from there. I will just say that I voted no to allow Mr. O'Connell the other night, and I voted no for Dr. Batts tonight too. And I hope I'm not messing up your name, but I'm very impressed with him. I'm very impressed with what he said. I'm very impressed with his ideas. The reason I voted no is because it's beyond city council. It's not an issue that city council can deal with. It has to be dealt at a higher level of government. And I just wanted to explain that. So as much as I think he's done a great job, I was in law enforcement for 40 years. I'd love to see people turn their lives around. And again, I'm very impressed with him, but it's beyond city council's ability to change it right now.
Mr. President, can I say something? I would like to hear from the solicitor because I want to know why.
May I be heard?
Absolutely.
Ms. Mota, you want to know why? What is your question?
Okay, he got an interview, so that means that he had an opportunity to be interviewed. You know, we heard about him. So why is it that we cannot vote for him? What precludes us from voting for him?
The Pennsylvania State Constitution has a provision entitled an ineligibility by criminal conviction. As that constitutional provision is interpreted by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, persons who have a felony on their record are ineligible to hold a position of public trust. That is the basis for the eligibility. In other words, it's a disqualification by virtue of a constitutional mandate. It's not something City Council has any control over.
Can I respond to that? There's actually precedence that is actually against what you just said. York mayor was seated with 2 felony convictions. The York mayor.
We have no control over what York does.
But that's it's state law. It's state law. He was seated with 2 felony convictions.
Ma'am, please, if you wanted to talk, we'll talk up here, but we're hearing the solicitor right now. We're not gonna interrupt people. Please.
I'm hopeful that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mona, does you want to follow up on it?
Well, I'm not really in agreement. I mean, I heard and I read about the mayor from York, and he became a mayor with 2 felonies.
I can address to you what the law is. Our jobs as a solicitor is to answer questions with regard to what the law states. Now, whether there's agreement with that or not, that's not within our purview. But we can only offer our best advice, our best understanding and research on what the precepts of the law are on the books as of right now. And that's what we've done.
Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for Ms. Fruworth. Before that, I just want to say, my vote tonight for Mr. Botts was due to the fact that 2 nights ago, we set a precedent of allowing a candidate that could potentially not be able to serve to have an interview. But it is my understanding, Ms. Fruworth, that in the York case that the public just cited, that it was the president judge of York County who issued that opinion, and there was no appeal by the petitioners to state court. In a case like that, and this is just a general question for you, in a case like that, what is standard practice in the legal community? Would the York decision, because it is more recent, be considered setting precedent, or would the state Supreme Court decision, because it's from the state Supreme Court, be considered precedential, excuse me, in this type of scenario?
Mr. President, might be heard.
Absolutely.
The York County Court case is a Court of Common Pleas level decision. Certainly, even persons have appeal rights from the lower court the same way they would have an appeal right from the Lehigh County Court. It's the same level with 68 counties throughout the Commonwealth. Pennsylvania Supreme Court, excuse me, rendered a ruling in 2008 addressing this very issue. Certainly, the Supreme Court of the state has precedence over what a lower court judge would rule, especially where a party in a lower court case has a right of appeal. They can appeal to the Superior Court in these types of cases. That can be petitioned for allowance of appeal to the Supreme Court if there's a different ruling starting in the lower court, challenge it all the way up, and then have the Supreme Court decide which is the better ruling. Is it the 2008 ruling or this new case from York? So for now, the Supreme Court case it prevails.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fruworth. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anybody else on council since Mr. Reed?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to talk in general, say a couple of words. And that is, we went through a very strenuous process here. And I want to thank everybody, those who applied, and obviously we can only choose one mayor, but in those who attended the meetings. There was a lot of social media issues involved. People wrote whatever they wanted to write, and sometimes they have no idea what they were talking about, but that's life. Yeah. But at the same time, is their freedom, is their freedom to be able to express themselves, either the right or wrong, okay? But the issue, I think, is that those people who actually came to council meetings behaved well, they followed the order, and I've been here for a pretty long time, and one of the things that we always pride ourselves is that we run this room as a courtroom. So if you're not gonna jump around in the courtroom, you don't do it here. No signs in the courtroom, you don't do it here. And I think the protocols and the way that people behaved was exceptionally well. And I really commend that, it gives me hope. And I also want to say that most people who are here, most people who spoke, have a lot of hope for the city, regardless of who the mayor is. Regardless of who the mayor is going to be. There's a lot of hope for the city. Well, we've been working very hard on doing things in the east side, like Coca-Cola Park, and in Center City, like the PPL Center. We got to work a little bit more on the south side, and throughout the city in general, there has been a lot of development, a lot of things. We need to do a lot more. I understand that, but you can't, Rome wasn't built in a day, obviously. So we need to continue to support our city, and you and those of you who participated in the process, who may not be the mayor, please stay together with us. And you talked about visionary. We can use your vision to make Allentown a great place to live and work for everybody. We can make it the best city in the country, and that's my hope, that we can do that. And I know you heard a gentleman that talked about something. I'm not proposing that, but we can make our city the best city in the country. And it's a diverse city, and it's a growing city, and we have a lot of opportunity to do a lot of great things. So I commend you, and I will ask for your support as we are here in this body to support us to do the best we can. And it's not far-fetched. We can actually make our city the best city in the country. So take that into account. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can I say something? We gave him an opportunity to interview and listen to the public. I agree with you, they're asking for a change, for hope, but we need to give people hope, and giving hope is also part of changing, part of changing the system. And it is a shame. In this dais, we voted for banning the box, and yet we're not doing this, And it's like a double standard, in my opinion. We talk about transparency, giving hope. Look all these people. We always say that it's important for people to talk, for people to express themselves, for people to give people what they want, to give the public, the community what they want. And they do want Dr. Batts. That's all I have to say. But please don't give up. Don't give up. Remember that this city is resilient. We need you guys to serve, okay? I really would like this room to be full every Wednesday, the first and the third Wednesday of every week. We need you guys. We need young people. We hear you. I see you. We want to be your voice, so we need you guys, okay? So whatever happened tonight, please keep on coming to City Council. We need to hear from you. This city is yours, okay? And this is your time. That's all I need to say.
Thank you, Ms. Mota. Ms. Arthur was next.
I'd like the citizens of Allentown to know that whether you agree with me on my vote or not, I'd like you to know that I spent many, many sleepless nights in the last 2 weeks. I've thought about this. I sweat over it. I've listened intently to everyone. And I want you to know, no matter who gets this job, I will dedicate myself the way I did with Mayor Pawlowski. I will do it with the next mayor. And as long as I serve on this council, no matter who the mayor is, I will support him and work with him. But I want you to know,
What about her?
this is not an easy decision, and we all, I'm sure, have been stressed for weeks. So I just wanted you to know that it was not easy.
Thank you, Ms. Oppa. Mr. Zuckel.
Yes, to follow comments to all my colleagues, this has been a difficult task for us, whether you believe us or not. And whoever is the next mayor has a difficult job ahead of him. You couldn't pay me 3 times what that person's going to make. And Dr. Batts, regardless of what the circumstances are here tonight, you are a man with a lot of knowledge that you can bring to this city. So I would please ask you to stay with us and become a part of us. And I will be more than happy to talk about that later with you.
Go for it.
Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel compelled to talk about the problem that we face here with this. I think that every one of us who has been here each night, and I think that everyone who has been watching these proceedings and following the media attention on them would agree that Dr. Batts presented one of the best presentations we've had, has some of the most passion.
Please, please, please.
And is an example for everyone in the community. I think that our solicitor in both cases, the vote we took 2 nights ago and the vote we took tonight, I think that our solicitor had the correct opinion in it. I don't like either of those opinions, to be perfectly frank. I don't think that our charter provision is appropriate, and I will be pushing legislation to change that language, as will several members of council. I don't like that our state constitution mandates this. I think there is a very big difference in violent felonies, in felonies against the public trust, and other classified felonies. So I think that a blanket statement in our state constitution is inappropriate, and I would like to see that language changed as well. Unfortunately, we are just coming out of a situation in which rules that elected officials didn't like were ignored. That's why we're all here tonight. That's why these candidates are here tonight. Because rules that are put in place to protect the public, whether we agree with them or disagree with them, were ignored. Regretfully, I feel obligated to follow both solicitors' opinions in this case. I will say directly to Dr. Batts, please, as someone who's been involved in this city for 15 years and worked with candidates and elected officials and community leaders, Dr. Batts, I'm pleading with you. Please go through the process until we fix the state constitution to get a pardon so that you can run for office. I will be the first person to sign a letter of support, and when you are successful, I will be the first person to sign your petition for any office you choose to run for. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. I agree, well said, and I commend you for putting everything out here in front of this whole community, the council and this whole community. It takes a man to do that, and he's done it. Unless we have Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to commend all of the candidates. You did a great job. We've had some very excellent presentations. But I also want to say, unfortunately, we can only select one. What I would ask that the others, and including all the members of the public here tonight who didn't apply, we have a number of boards and commissions of which members are expiring or we don't have the people for them. Please consider submitting your name to Mr. Hanlon. You can go online, determine what board you may want to serve on, where your expertise is, or if you just decide you want to, we'd love to have more people involved in the city. And as I said, we have a lot of openings. So please, it's a city that I sincerely love. And as much as I've heard many of you do, get active. Be active with us and help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. And just to clarify, their terms are expiring, not the members. And again, I thank everybody. We've seen some quality people come up here and interview during this process, and I'm impressed with it. So I guess unless there's anything from any more of my colleagues, Mr. Hanlon, I guess we're ready to move forward, huh? Yes, you have the ballots.
That's not the procedure. They do it like that.
Ballots. Microphone, please.
Mr. President, I have Ms. Appa votes for Mr. Veal. Mr. Robinson votes for Mr. Veal. Mr. Zukel votes for Mr. O'Connell. Ms. Mota votes for Dr. Batts. Mr. McLean votes for Mr. Thiel. Mr. Hendricks votes for Mr. O'Connell. And Mr. Greedy votes for Mr. O'Connell.
Ooh, 3 and 3.
No Dr. Botts, no O'Connell.
Can't vote one, you can't vote the other.
No Dr. Botts, no O'Connell.
No Dr. Botts, no O'Connell. No Dr. Botts, no O'Connell. Same old whistle. Harold Johnson Watts.
If this continues.
I look forward to your write-up tomorrow morning.
Okay, Mr. President, on the second ballot, I have Mr. Hendricks, Mr. O'Connell. I have Mr. McLean, Mr. Field. I have Ms. Mota, Dr. Batts. I have Mr. Robinson with Mr. Field. I have Mr. Greedy with Mr. O'Connell. I have Mr. Zukel with Mr. O'Connell. And I have Ms. Appa with Mr. Thiel. Same outcome.
It's like watching a public jury. Only the jury decides once.
No Batts, no O'Connell.
Oh my God. Put out. That is really beautiful police officer need to be put out.
And this is what escalation is. Let people talk.
You got to go to Mr. Field because he would like to.
All right, Cynthia, hold strong. Okay, round 3, we got Mr. Greedy, Mr. O'Connell. Mr. Hendricks, Mr. O'Connell. Mr. McLean, Mr. Field. Miss Mota, Dr. Batts. We got Mr. Robinson, Mr. Field. And Mr. Zukel, Mr. O'Connell. We got Miss Appa, Mr. Field.
And I got it all on video. Well, so do other people, but...
Yeah, there's that.